stuff takes a lot of work. Give these guys a hand when they come in. My goodness, what great storytelling, all happening here in the Pacific Northwest. I'm really proud of all of your work. Congratulations on these films, guys, and of course, congratulations on your nomination for the Seattle Film Critics Society's PNW Award. Okay. I just want to go through introductions really quick, just who you are, what film you're a part of.
Ron Canfield. I'm the writer and executive producer of A Fateful Weekend.
I'm Tonya Skoog. I was the producer and production designer on A Fateful Weekend.
I'm Broughton. I was an assistant editor on Songs of Black Folk.
I'm Faddis. I was the editor and writer at Songs of Black Folk.
Wes Hurley. I produced, directed Shelly's Thing.
Bryan Tucker. I did Style, a Seattle basketball story.
My name's Bryan Pittala. I wrote and directed and produced and everything for Charlotte 1994.
So, these are incredible stories, great storytelling here, great filmmaking here. I really want to start with just talking about the filmmaking process, approaching short filmmaking. Where do you start? And Bryan, I guess we can just kind of send the mic back and forth. How's that sound?
Sure.
So where do you start when you want to tell a story and make a short film?
Normally I have an idea or something that I want to give my 2 cents about, and I try to stack as many what I feel to be good ideas on top of good ideas in script, and then I just try to, I keep everything small, so I kind of I shoot everything myself, I write everything, I direct it, I do the casting, I do everything, and so I just try to keep it really confined and manageable. That's how I try to do it.
For Style, I just made a short documentary about the Garfield boys basketball. They won the state championship, I think it was 2022. And the 2 producers on that project, after we had done that, we're like, what's next? And one of the producers, Jackson, he was like, well, the real basketball story is, about this Rotary program. Nobody's told this story yet, but it was starting to get out once Paolo Banchero was kind of rising as an NBA player. And Jackson, our producer, had played competitively at the highest level at Rotary, so he still had relationships with Daryl and Dan. So it took just a lot of convincing to get those guys to slow down for just a little bit from doing what they do just to let us film, because they're just constantly coaching. They love what they do, it's their life, and they don't see a purpose in really slowing down to kind of do interviews and stuff. But so it took a little bit to convince them, but we did it.
I read an amazing book called Gay Seattle by Gary Atkins a few years ago. I was working on a feature at the time, but I knew that the chapter on Shelly's leg was something that was really inspiring me. I was like, I have to research it. When I finished the feature, it took me a while to research, trying to find out everybody who's been involved with it, and yeah.
And you guys are more in the technical department. I wanted to know what got you guys on board with Songs of Black Folk.
Absolutely. So, Claire and I did post and editing and all that. I moved from LA to Tacoma on 19th Street, which is the cross street for I Street, J Street, where all the churches are. And I just so happened to be asked to edit it. The Seattle company paid for it, and the rest of us were kind of from LA, and it just sort of came about. The director ended up meeting the subjects of our film, and you saw how eloquently Dr. Braxton spoke, and so he was really instrumental in getting the team together to tell a beautiful story.
And I actually had an internship last summer where I got to work on the project and meet David and the rest of the team that were working on Songs of Black Folk. And so yeah, I just kind of happened upon this project on my internship, and it was very inspiring to work with everybody and to kind of see how everything works in post and get to learn from David as well. So it was a really good experience.
We want to go back. I mean, we have to reverse this because it's his
Oh,
story.
right.
Yeah, so a Fateful Weekend is basically depicts my family that weekend. And so every year, close to the anniversary of JFK's, unfortunate moment, which actually is coming up here soon, I've always seen, the latest and greatest of, what people thought or just reliving the moment. And it hit me, being a child at the time, is that I had never seen it depicted through the eyes of a child. And especially as you saw in the film, we kind of had some other unique circumstances going on with the family. And so one morning I woke up after thinking that, and I wrote a short story about that, and it ended up winning an award, and then I decided to turn it into a screenplay, and started doing things a little bit ahead of time. I had locations, I had props, I had all that, but I'd never done anything with film before. And so luckily a friend of mine recommended Tonya to help put the team together. And a couple of our team members are here. Leah Lee, who played Grandma, and Ron Lehman, our costume designer. So thanks for having us.
Wait, what was the question? What were to say?
Oh, just, I guess helping bring a short film to life. Yeah.
When Ron brought the story, it was absolutely compelling and very unique. I think it was kind of easy to do. Bring the right people, cast the right people. I think the biggest challenge was probably getting the script, from a narrative, it was 22 pages and we got it to 12. But we brought on a great team, and his house was perfect. We had some things. I had brought on a production designer, and he got a bigger gig in LA, and I'm like, well, you can't do that. So we had props, and I was like, well, just make it look like my grandma's house. So raided my dad's house for more furniture and stuff, and pulled it all together.
Well, one of the biggest reasons we're doing this award is to, celebrate Pacific Northwest filmmaking. And so I kind of want to hear more about your guys' experience with making films here in the Pacific Northwest. Resources you may have had, what benefits there might have been for being able to tell these stories here. Just give me your experience on making these films here in the Pacific Northwest.
This film in particular, or just
this
in
film in
general?
particular or in general. Like I think that storytelling here is really important, and I'd love to hear more about what resources you guys had as far as there's financial resources, if there's talent that you collaborated with, just what's the benefits of filming here.
Well, yeah. Back to you.
Yeah, so for me, as Tonya alluded to, our primary filming location was my house. So luckily I have a home that was built 39, and I've kept it pretty much looking the same way. And then I had two neighbors, one that was Grandpa's workshop, and then another one was the young boys' room. And I had a friend who's a photographer who happens to collect vintage toys for her business. So she gave me a bunch of stuff. Other people loaned me stuff. Local little church I thought was perfect for the church scene, and so they were all on board. So it was really just kind of a community effort. And then Tonya is the one that brought all of the talent and all of that to the show.
I think the beauty of filming in the Northwest, particularly, I'm a Tacoma girl. I'm practically your neighbor. is people really want to rally, you know, locking locations and kind of getting scrappy, and we can use that house for these 3 locations, and kind of everybody kind of rallies and wants to be a part of it. And it's not LA where you pull, you know, it's just a different world.
I like
It's
the
more,
overwhelming, I'm sure.
there's an intimacy and sort of a community about it. People rally to do.
Yeah, just give me more about your experience with like producer or working in film here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, I very new to the industry, so this was kind of like one of the first projects that I got to work on here in the Pacific Northwest. I was born and raised in the Tacoma area, and Seattle will always be my home, so it's fun to explore the film industry up here and get to learn more about it and be a part of it, and yeah, it's really exciting.
I think the Pacific Northwest is ripe for production to become more mainstream. A couple reasons. I mean, LA is becoming a really difficult place to make films, and the Northwest can just open up. I remember 10 years ago it felt like it was the opposite, and now I'm finding just as much opportunity. There's a lot of business up here, and with business comes money, and at some of those businesses they have really creative, awesome people that want to tell stories, and you got to connect with someone in a position like that wants to tell a great story and make something. So of course Songs of Black Folk had to take place here. It's all about here, so it was a joy to make it here.
Yeah, very supportive community, very tightly knit. And in terms of, I think because there's not much money here for film, a lot of people into it are just really passionate, which is really nice. And a lot of really talented people like Ron Custom, the person who made Shelly's and who like works on every film I feel like in Seattle. So it's like a small, it's very small.
I've been making short documentaries for about the last 10 years in Seattle, mostly like for hire for nonprofits and stuff, but then I just do stuff on the side that I want to do. And I think that the benefit when you live somewhere long enough and you have enough community and you're just involved in a lot of things, you know people, that's just how I hear of stories. And then the people on my team, the producers on this project, I mean, the connections came through them, and that's mostly how it always comes. And in that sense, it makes Seattle feel, you know, like a small town. It is like it is a small city. So for me, it's just been really beneficial just to kind of be involved in different communities, and that's how we hear stories.
I think the biggest resource I love to utilize is the people, especially the talent. So like my actors are amazing. All the actors I've gotten to work with throughout the years of making short films, they've all been great. Like I've worked a lot with Big Fish talent, and they're just like the best. Like my actors that I had on screen, they made that movie. And so, and even just the local community, like the nice folks at the roller rink who were able to hear me out about a story that I wanted to tell, and they let us use that. So it's like the people in the community kind of help me do what I want to do, and I feel like I'm forever grateful for that.
That's incredible. I do want to make sure we get to questions in the audience. So does anyone in the audience have questions for any of the talents up here?
Well, I just want to say, Shelly's leg, you were there. You were there at her age.
That's awesome. I think there's another question that came up. Yeah, what's up?
To Wes, what's your next project?
I am hoping to film next year a feature That's based on a memoir of a friend about his erotic obsession with unconsensually cutting men's hair. It's a very dark comedy, bordering on disturbing thriller. True story.
Any other questions for the talent up here?
I have a question. It's a comment and a question. I think all of them were just really absolutely wonderful. How much storyboarding did all of you do? I mean, and your DPs all get huge kudos. Everything on screen was just wonderful. But how much storyboarding or planning were you able to do, especially with your documentaries? Did it just organically form while shooting, or that
You
makes
want to start, Wes?
sense?
Yeah, Mike.
I always plan everything, every detail in advance. I didn't storyboard this one just because I knew it's going to be pretty flat. But yeah, and I work with the same DP, worked for years, so it kind of speaks the same language. It helps.
Yeah, let's do it.
Sorry, I'm like, yeah, I storyboard everything. That's what comes right after I write the script and I get it to a place where I like it. The next step of making it real is just to storyboard every single frame. And then I'm the DP for everything I've done so far. So I kind of know what I can do, so that also helps a lot. So I kind of write within my limits, I write within the locations I have and everything like that. And yeah, storyboard every frame, and that helps me get the mess that's in my head on paper from a first frame to last frame. I love that.
Yeah. Bryan.
For style, I didn't storyboard, and I never do actually. It's we kind of plan out stuff that we know that we want to film, and we kind of figure out ahead of time as best as we can how that's going to flow. But like the way our film ended with that young girl hitting the shot, and then all the kids like rushing her and picking her up, like you can't storyboard or plan that. I didn't know that was going to happen. And then it wasn't, and I was the only one there, my producers weren't there, so then when I sent them the footage, we all were just like, oh, this is like the moment that everything, the film should build to. So you kind of shoot a bunch and then figure out like what the flow should be and how to build the story.
Yeah, I'm actually very interested in this question for editing and post-production. How much planning do you do when going to editing? Or is it just you kind of piece it together as you watch the footage?
Usually I'm given an 8-hour interview and I'm told, make a documentary. No B-roll. Let's find the archival footage. It reminds me of, I think it was Hitchcock that said, in a narrative film, the director is God, and in a documentary film, God is the director. I don't think that's true. The older I get, the more I work in documentaries. I think that for people that are directing and writing documentaries, you usually have part story you want to tell, or the subject want to tell, and then part investigative journalism, almost like archaeology, where you have to happen upon something and then try to fit that into the story. If it doesn't fit into the story, you discard it. So on a tangent, but you were talking about planning.
Yeah,
So before going into a shoot, yes, you kind of know the story you want to tell based on pre-interviews, etc. Sort of like a newscaster interviewing someone. They're going out to get something, but they want to get something specific to fit a larger story that they're telling. That's true, right? So documentary is equal parts reactive and proactive.
Anything else you want to add?
For this one, we didn't storyboard. Tonya Doupe is an amazing director, acting coach, probably a lot of people know who he is and have worked with him here. Partnering with Tyler Jones, our cinematographer. I don't think I've ever worked on a project that had storyboards, ever, in producing short films or feature films. Just putting together shot lists, as a producer, I'm like, streamline the script. Like, the less that we have to, shoot extra or anything that doesn't carry the story forward. If you can have a conversation in the same room, in the next scene, like, don't have it in the hallway, have it here, sort of, so you don't lose the story, you don't lose the intimacy of the moments, but kind of streamline it. And I don't know, I guess that I have no reference to storyboards because of just cutting the director and the cinematographer loose to range short for genres.
Yes, so, from the storyboard planning type perspective, no storyboard here, however, to make the story work. So I knew how the story I wanted to tell, and I knew all of the archive footage that I wanted to insert for each spot. So I got all of the archive footage ahead of time, so that when it came time to edit, in lieu of telling our editor, Nathan Henderson, who was amazing, by the way, here's hours of archive footage, and we need a chunk and a chunk and a chunk and a chunk. So I just went through and picked all of those and told him exactly, this 12 seconds of blah, blah, blah goes here. And it was in the script that way too, so it matched, the footage matched the script and all of that. So Nathan, along with Tony, our director, put everything together to make it all fit.
Great question, thank you.
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, so this is a question for, I guess, Long Weekend, Shelly's Leg, and Charlotte 1994. All of yours were like period pieces, and that was really fun because we got to like explore like Pacific Northwest through different times as well as different locations and stuff. And it just seems like so much cool and exciting work from all the different departments goes into like really getting the vibe of each decade that you were trying to capture. I just can't imagine how much work goes into like the wardrobes and like the color grading, making sure that like the Mario plushes in the arcade are period accurate. So I guess like my question is, in what ways is it like really, really exciting to do like a period piece, and like what kind of work goes into like making sure that the visuals are on point, and in what ways can it like, I don't know, maybe be a bit of a pain in the ass sometimes, like scrounging up old like toys and stuff?
Yeah, both exciting and exhausting. Luckily, we have someone like Ron who knows how to do that. I mean, the costumes, I think you'll agree that we had in a favorite weekend were just spot on. And then, like I said, for me, I was lucky to have a home that was period correct and friends that had period correct props that they all loaned me. So for that, putting it all together was a bit of work, but it was also tons of fun. But I don't know if I ever want to do another one.
Let's see what Wes
Does that much work?
Yeah.
Ron and then Nancy Havasta-Leonardi, our makeup artist, was amazing, spot on. So and his house was perfect, literally the same door that my little grandma's house had. The arches, everything. So it was just kind of piecing together, and really Leah's character, the grandma, was the showrunner. Her character dictated how that house looked. It was spotless, it was clean, it was simple, everything in its place. So between his props and a bunch of places downtown Tacoma, we're making a movie. Can I rent this stuff? They're like, go ahead and have it. And I'm like, no way. So being part of any movie, there's always struggle or whatever, but like in the end, it's like playtime. You're doing something really cool, so.
Yeah, let's get Wes's perspective on that.
I really love the challenge of doing period stuff. So having Ron, of course, is such a gift. No, I don't like anything about the aesthetics right now in the world. So I love anything old, like 80s and back. 80s and that as far back. So yeah, it was really fun. It's really challenging. The thing that I worried about the most, honestly, was sound, because I really wanted it to sound all. And so I even had like conversations with like, dialect coach about like, because when you listen to old news footage, things sound a certain way. And so I was like trying to understand what is that, and then having amazing sound mixer Paul at Bad Animals, who like, I didn't know it was gonna sound right, and I love what he made sound like, because I feel like it really captures that vintage sound.
Yeah, for Charlotte in 1994, I always say that like I was born in the 80s, but I'm a product of the 90s. So like the 90s, like that was my jam. So a lot of the props and everything in there were mine. We didn't really have to source out too much. The wardrobe was another thing that like had to research and stuff like that. My wife is a great help on all my film, and she is a master at that stuff. So she helps so much. And then, especially for the roller rink, that was just pure luck. The first script I did was originally in a bowling alley, and I live in Bellingham, and I contacted every bowling alley from Bellingham to here in Seattle, and nobody wanted to hear me out. And then one day, my wife and I, we walked into the roller rink because we were thinking of other things that it could be, and that rink was just perfect as it was. We stepped into the perfect location, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. So it was like, yes, that just made it 10 times better.
That's awesome. Last question from me, and I consider myself someone who's aspiring to be an aspiring filmmaker. And so I watch your guys' stuff and I'm totally inspired by what you do. What advice would you give to someone in my position who would like to get into filmmaking?
I would say just find something that you love, find a story that as corny as it sounds, find a story that resonates with something that's in your heart and that you want to put out in the world in a way that you feel like you haven't seen, and just make it happen. Very cool.
For documentaries, you don't need like a cast or a script. I mean, you do still need a story and an idea and characters, but I feel like it could be anybody. It could be someone within your circle. So like what Bryan said, just start by making something, and it might not be good, but you got to start somewhere.
That's good.
Yeah, I would just say just do it, and don't worry about any kind of like the right way. Like there's no rules. I don't follow any rules. There's so many things I do on my sets that you're not supposed to do, or don't do things that you're supposed to do, and like all of that, it's bullshit. Just do it your way.
I agree. That's awesome. There's no point in wanting to be a filmmaker if you don't have something you want to say. There's no point to a film if you don't have something you want to say. So discover what that is. What's the best way to tell that? Is it through live testimonials or through other people, or documentary-based investigative journalism? Is it through short? Is it through episodic? It's never been easier to write a script. I'm talking technically, the tools. It's never been easier to have final draft. It's never been easier to have a camera on your phone. It's never been easier to edit in Adobe, whatever. So the barriers are really low, which is awesome. So what's going to make you stand out is going to be your storytelling. So if someone's trying to become a filmmaker, study storytelling. What makes a good story? What's the structure of the story? And that will really set you apart.
Yes, early on in your career, what do you have for me?
I think just mess around with storytelling, with anything that you want to create, even with your friends too, even if it's just something silly. I have a group of friends where we do that, and I think just being able to create something with people can spark something bigger,
Yeah, it's all about the story. Come up with something that makes your heart hurt, makes your heart happy, something you need to tell. I've shot 5 music videos on an iPhone. Like, don't limit yourself. Like, you don't need the red camera. Is red camera even like the thing to use anymore? Okay. I don't pay attention. I just hire good people that yeah, they're still expensive. But yeah, just put it, you're always gonna find somebody that's willing to come alongside. Somebody that loves the idea and loves your story. And then remember that it's the writer's story, it's the director's story, it's the actor's story, it's the editor's story, and then the composer or sound design. Everybody gets to put all their pieces together to make something beautiful. So just go there.
Yeah, I pretty much can't add, for me as the storyteller, it was just really writing a story that I liked, and that when it was just a short story, tons of other people liked it. And so find the right people to help you take your vision and make it become reality.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for joining us here. Ladies and gentlemen,